Hey, good morning. I'm Scott Forcino from Real Brokerage, LLC. I'm an associate broker in the New York City metro area. I'm also the founder of PlugIntro, where real estate professionals meet who they should know and offer the same opportunity to others to grow within their business community. And I have with us today a colleague, Zeke Samples, who is from Grow Mortgage, so it makes perfect sense. He's here to have others learn more about what's going on in the mortgage industry. At this time, it's now almost March 2023, and I want to welcome and greet Zeke to our day. This is his platform, PlugIntro Samples. Good morning, Zeke.
Morning. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here for everybody and looking forward to sharing some information about the market and what we're seeing. I know everybody's interested in hearing the latest. It changes daily.
Great. So what is going on? I mean, you hear about these daily people are sad or happy, depending.
Right. Well, we're in the Tampa market. So Tampa, Florida. I'm basically the director or the person that's running Florida down here. I have a few people on my team. Most of us are back in Charlotte, North Carolina, but we are 100% residential mortgage broker, and I'm located in the Tampa Bay metro market. Tampa was voted the #1 city in 2022 to move to, which is very nice. It's helped a lot of us increase our business, of course. Appreciations have grown, but at the same time, now that we've seen the interest rates rise, we have seen a slowdown in the market just because of the rates and people's mindset, what they read in the media. And there's been a lot of challenges that are new on the front in regards to that, and some ways that lenders have tried to counteract that by coming up with their own programs as well. So yeah, it's just kind of a big mix.
That's for sure. Well, I mean, at this time last year, the rates were about 3, and now they're just ticked up to about 6.75.
Right. So you've got that borrower that's in the 3s that doesn't want to move because they don't want to walk into a 6, of course. But then you've got that borrower as well that says, well, I'm going to wait and for these prices to go down and for the interest rates to drop. Well, a year and a half ago when the interest rates were lower, were you the one winning your offer, or were the 25 other people that were up against you in that same house bid winning the offer? So there's always going to be that plus and negative. The pro and con, and then lenders have come out with programs such as like a 3-2-1 or a 2-1 buy down to try to move some shells around, get some business in the door, make it look like, hey, you can do this. You know, this marry the house, date the rate saying is nothing that I'm a fan of. I'm one of the few that's going to be in disagreement of that, but I feel like it's a way to get somebody into a house that's obviously staying on the market and to combat these high interest rates.
Now, why? I mean, I agree with you, and I haven't come across many lenders. They've been cheerleading this program. I'd love to know more. Why do you think that? I mean, what's the positive negativity? What happens to someone who takes those programs?
Well, I do a lot of social medias, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook Reels. We're really good with our video marketing, and I feel like that is beneficial to people that are real estate agents as well as buyers, just to stay educated by learning what is new and on top of the market. I recently did a reel about the 3-2-1 or the 2-1 buy down being a gimmick, and I feel like if you look at it mathematically, the amount of money that it takes on the reel, I kind of have numbers going over my head as I'm talking, but mathematically, if you look at the money that it's going to save you in getting that first year, that interest rate lower on the first year, and that interest rate that you're going to have on the second year, you add those two numbers together. By the time you get to that third year, now you're a borrower that's in the house for year 3. So what happens if it doesn't happen the first year? What happens within year 2 or year 3? Something's going to break, whether it's, you know, a hot water heater or an AC or some unforeseen possible circumstance. Well, if you've got a borrower that's short on cash or limited assets that's now moving into a house, realizing this low interest rate for the first year, realizing this low interest rate for the second year, and now they have this higher interest rate the third year, that interest rate, what if they bought a car in the first 3 years and now increased their debt load? What if they lost their job and now they couldn't get financing to refinance out of this mortgage? Well, the lender sold them on the fact that they could refinance. Well, if something changed in their life those 3 years, it's not going to happen. and now there's a higher risk of a foreclosure or not making your mortgage payment.
Right. I completely agree. And tell me what homeowner doesn't want to paint or things don't go wrong. You don't need a dishwasher. It happens. It constantly happens, as you know. You're not buying a brand new house.
Right. And then that same, so back to my example, that mathematical number that it takes to buy down the interest rate for year 1 and 2, if you just use that same number in a genuine, legitimate buy down from the day one when you walk in the house as a seller concession, you're going to have a lower interest rate over the 30-year term. That amortization term is going to be a lot better than it would be if you looked at the other amortization term that involves the buy down. So mathematically, it's also a better idea to just buy it all down at one time from day one. You can still do the same refinance anytime, year 2, year 3, if but you're taking away the risk factor that it only relies on or only lies on the borrower if something were to happen.
Okay, when you say concession, I know what you mean, but what is that? Are you talking about traditional concession where the house must appraise and the seller will push that money across the table, or are you talking about a buyer paying the points?
No, a seller concession is from the seller, so it's not the buyer paying points out of pocket. The seller concession would be an example. It could come from a home inspection. Let's say you're buying a $300,000 house and there were no seller concessions. You went to contract, the seller dug their heels in. I'm not giving this borrower anything. And now the home inspection says there's something going on with the flooring or something going on that the buyers don't like, but it's still good enough to pass conventional financing, still good enough to get homeowners insurance, but might just be something that now the buyers don't like. Well, they could go to the seller and say, hey, Mr. Seller, you don't have to fix this, but in return, give me $4,000 towards my concessions. So that could be a way that you get seller concessions, or it could be right off the very beginning where they get seller concessions. A lot of these agents are marketing the 2-1 buy down in their MLS. So at the bottom, it says seller willing to give up to $8,000 of seller concessions or whatever it may be right off the bat. So that same money, instead of doing that 2-1 buy down program, just put it right into a traditional, buy down of the interest rate using the same seller funds.
I agree. I want to hear what you think about what I've done as a real estate broker in my area, because to me there's 3 scenarios. Whereas the 2-1 buy down has a lot of friction. Before recently, no one heard it. That was like November, October. So a buyer to realize this potential benefit has to have a buyer's agent who doesn't know what it is, speak to a seller's agent who doesn't know what it is, to go to the seller that now has to come out of pocket, and that's without a concession. It's a true contribution. There's a lot of friction, a lot of steps. That's 1. 2, a seller's concession may be something that no one contemplated before. It does rely on an appraisal. And there's, again, the series of steps the agents must take. And this is not what they've done in the recent past. What I've done and successfully, and I think is a great way, I want to hear what you think, is sellers always, especially now, will reduce their price. If it's a $500,000 house, they go 5% less. That's in red on the MLS. And that $475 is fake money. It's digital. It doesn't exist. They bought the house in 2011. They never had the $500,000 in their pocket. It's magical fake money off the MLS. So instead of taking that price reduction, I told my clients going in, don't reduce your price, which is what they want to hear. Push that across the table for the benefit of the buyer. Now you have the most capable buyer there is. You're giving them something they never had, a lower monthly payment, and it'll increase demand, and you will not have lost anything. And that eliminates it. Instead of from the buyer looking for something, it's the seller offering something, and they are in control. And I mean, who wouldn't want a nice free meal that the buyer realizes? That's what I've done. And I mean, that's something I think we can all do as sellers and sellers agents.
Yeah, that's definitely a third approach or an additional approach that you could certainly do. With these homes staying on the market, at least in Tampa, we haven't seen lower appraisals. The fear when the price of the homes was increasing so much is, will this home appraise out? The appraiser is not expected to put anything more than what is on the contract on on his appraisal. So it's funny. You see some homes that were under contract for 452,900 and it appraised for 452,900.
What a
Like, really?
coincidence.
Yeah. But they are not obligated to put anything over what the home price would be. It's their judgment of value, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. But yeah, as certainly if you can get the deal to go under contract that way, that's an option.
Well, it means it comes from a different approach. The buyer could be this lucky person who sees the house on Zillow with that public remark, and the agents could be, you could be a stellar listing agent, which is really what our team does, and says, we have better, hire us because we'll get you more attention. There's that. But, when you mention appraisals, I've come across, I don't think there'll be a problem with appraisals because we're in a declining market. All the good information already happened, right? So there's not going to be any, possibility of, if it's all going down, then there's ample precedent for those prices, right? The last year or gives you those higher prices.
Right. And we're not depreciating. We're just decelerating a little bit. The brakes are being pumped.
Good point. I didn't hear that. Good. Well, that's interesting stuff. I mean, look, and the reason why I think this is powerful is during a crazy market like it was, I think there was a bit of, of course, there's representation or advocacy, but there was a bit of adversity where highest and best by Friday at 5. It was one side on a tennis game and the other side on a tennis game. Now, I mean, what do you think about? I think that there's been and there should be more collaboration where, this isn't a court case. I want to help you, you want to help me. We want to get to the finish line, and there's far more collaboration. I'm enjoying that.
Yes. It's not so much of a one-sided transaction anymore. There's a lot more collaboration to it. It's an interesting time where when I mention, if I see a borrower that does not have a lot of funds in their checking account, might not have a lot left over if they were to complete a full transaction with down payment and closing costs, I suggest the option of seller concessions. And some agents say, well, we can't just assume that's going to happen. And I just reply and say, well, I didn't tell them we're definitely going to get it, but I said it's an option that we could certainly approach depending on, the home and the situation that they're going in. I mean, these homes that have stayed on the market for 40 plus days, sellers want to get out of there. There's a reason why somebody has their home listed and they want to move. So if it's taking them more time than they anticipated because they're used to having an offer in 48 hours, then they might want to move on it, especially with the appreciation, like you said, that fake money.
Right. And I love that point because there are a lot of sellers. I talk to people and they're still drunk with 2020, 2021 values. And my friend sold. I said, I know, I'm not the bad guy. Things happened, and you got to be really careful. Otherwise, they think you're not fighting for them.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Or not fighting hard enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I've heard real professionals team up with the client and really take on the information like you're talking about. Now I'll tell you something. A really smart mortgage guy gave me something that I admit I didn't ever consider, and I want to hear what you think about this. Is just days ago. So if you take the perspective that a lender like yourself wants to talk to real estate agents, because some will be listing agents someday, a certain percentage, that's what they want. You can build relationships with them having these type of strategy discussions. And then this guy took it to another level, which is amazing. He says, listen, I'm a mortgage guy like Zeke Samples, and I offer ARMs, ARM, adjustable rate, which is adjustable is a bad word from the old days. He goes, well, people don't leave their house. They don't live there 30 years. You're going to stay there 5, 7, 9. Let's do an ARM, whatever that rate might be, 3.5, 3.75. I don't know. So they're starting off much, much better back to the recent past. And then a seller. I mean, he goes, I could get with a few points, 3, 4 points with an ARM, someone into like 3 again. I mean, imagine the seller says, hi, I'm Scott. My client will offer this house at 3%. Zeke, you're the buyer. I'll jump on that. And it's not a trick. It's wide open. You don't have to do it. But I know that if I was a seller, I'd rather see a buyer have the lowest possible interest rate.
Well, so my comment on that is it's all the talk that we have about rates is going to be always dated. It could be dated by 24 hours. It could be dated by 12 months. I was following and chasing the arms and promoting that as well in 2021. But it's almost impossible right now because there's nobody that's purchasing those loans. In order for us to package these loans together as a product and sell them, somebody has to be willing to purchase them. So if the cost of those interest rates on those arms was lower in 2021, now with the rates being where they're at, nobody wants an ARM program.
Really? Can you speak
Correct.
to that? Because I don't understand that, and I'm sure other agents don't. What demand are you talking about? The sale of those loans? How does that work?
So you've got Fannie and Freddie and basic Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and basically the entities that are there, that purchase you're selling as a lender, you're selling interest rates, you're selling loan programs. So you're looking for the best deal for your client, whether it be a structure or whether it be something based on the cost of the interest rate. Let's just say in 2021, you could get a 4.5% interest rate for 1 point. Well, now, and the normal rate, if you didn't buy it down, let's say it was a 6. Well, now it's going to be a 7 costing 2.5 points. So these loans are priced to deter you from using them. They're almost like, why would you use that loan? Because it's not going to give you a better deal anymore. Therefore, you're not going to choose to put your buyer in that program, or the buyer, we don't ever steer, but the buyer is going to choose not to be in that loan program anymore because the cost just doesn't make sense. So that's a way that the loan programs are kind of driven throughout how the market shifts.
That's interesting. So really, that low rate is irrespective of the bank's interests for the buyer. It's not even really there anymore.
Did you hear about 2-1 buy downs in 2021? No. When did you hear about them? Rates started.
Right, exactly.
When you can't do the ARM programs anymore, that's when somebody's sitting behind the desk going, I don't have ARMs anymore and my rates are terrible because I'm a retail lender. What can I do? How about this buy down thing? And it's kind of the same situation. You're giving somebody, we could call that an ARM, arguably. It's a 1-year ARM, it's a 1-year ARM, and now it's a 28-year mortgage.
Sure. It used to have the 228 thing years ago.
Yeah. So it all, when you start to pull back the curtain to some of these concepts, they all look very similar. But yes, it's something that we just, good lenders, we're always going to look to see if we can get the best deal possible, but we also want to think about what the ramifications could be for the loan program. Like I mentioned, my disagreements with the buy down, and just propose those to the buyer. Say, hey, if you're willing to do this type of program, these are the things that could happen. If they were to happen in your life, then just keep that in consideration. And you just let them choose, but definitely keeping them educated and going to that platinum education level is what I like to do.
Yeah, I see your interviews, and for sure you do. I was in a session with other maybe 150 real broker associates and agents, and I said, why aren't we mad at the lenders? Because this buy down has always existed. So when the rates were 3.5, someone could have got 2.5. Why didn't we work together then? It was not a real reason, but definitely clients could have saved money if they were even willing to put up their own money. It would have been worth it.
True. Yeah, that's an argument as well. And then people wanting to do home equity lines of credit, with the rates shooting up right now, those equity lines are even higher. So I had a gentleman the other day that bought his house cash. Well, actually, I had 2 examples. There's one where he has a lower interest rate mortgage, a 3% mortgage, but he doesn't want to do a cash out refinance. Or his thought was he didn't want to do a cash out refinance because that would change his entire loan into a 6%, let's say, interest rate. But if he did a home equity line of credit with a adjustable interest rate, meaning it could be interest only and it adjusts, let's say that's 8, 9, 10, worst case scenario, here's that platinum education again. So if you've got that rate and you blend it with your 3 rate, what do you end up getting anyway? So if you have a 3 and a 9, your blended is going to be somewhere in the middle. But and it's adjustable and it's interest only. Why don't you go with something? You're getting $150,000, $200,000 on your cash out. Just go with something that is going to give you one interest rate that's fixed, and it gives you the money that you want. And if you don't use it all, you could dump it back into your mortgage with a recast anyway. So,
Right. That's a lot there. I mean, I guess with the stock market, you'd call that dollar cost averaging, right? When it goes down and you'd buy it back in. You know, a point I always made, because I had two clients that were just proudly telling me they're doing the 3-2-1, and I guess it was 2-3, I guess it was 3-2, and I said that's great, but I know you, and I know you like going to dinner, and I know you guys go to Disney, so you're gonna it's gonna be underwritten at the high number, which is real, but then you're gonna get this basic forgiveness. Essentially, you're gonna up your lifestyle, or at least maintain your lifestyle, you know, and having $300 dinners. I said, so what's going to happen when the real number comes? Are you going to really change your lifestyle? And they looked at me. I mean, they were not happy, because I said, you're in Disney twice since the summer.
Yeah. Oh, we have a lower mortgage. We have some extra money we can spend. No, that's not the right way to think about it, because in 2 years, it's going to be right back where it was.
Right. In fact, years ago, when there was let me think, during the foreclosure era, this is a crazy concept. There was this silent stimulus, or even during COVID, because you weren't paying a mortgage. Now you notice that you're not writing checks every month. So Amazon exploded during COVID, of course, right? So I had tenants that didn't pay me rent that for a year and a half.
Got a new TV.
Right. So they were this silent stimulus where restaurants and commerce and retail never did better during that. And there's no rules on that. And you mentioned somebody to think about. There's no rules that say you can't buy a car for another $600 a month.
Yeah, right. And now increase your debt to income ratio, and then you go try to refi. You change jobs, maybe not making enough, or maybe a spouse lost a job and the spouse was on there the first time. I mean, all these things can be factors that people just go, oh no.
Right, but there's really no. I mean, even though, let's say Zeke Samples is great, after the closing, there's no more relationship where, you know, be careful, or what's the next. I'll tell you two things that are silent killers too. Ma and Pa Kettle bought the house in 2011. There's no way that the taxes are up to where they should be. They're not reassessed. So now you buy the house, you know that your escrows are going to go up, and look at the insurance situation in the country, New York and Florida. So now, I mean, it's 100% sure your monthly payment's going up, that you can't stop.
Great point too. Yeah.
That's happening. So if anything, you'd have to lead some type of austere lifestyle. And truthfully, if people are buying $300,000 and $500,000, $700,000, $900,000 houses, they're not used to living this, you know, this kind of monkish lifestyle. They're living with the cars and the kids doing stuff. It's good. You know, we're talking about what? What do you think? Like in a 2024, 2025 problem, a new problem?
It's so tough to say, because, you know, the beginning of this year, we get inside intel and market updates and what the rates are going to do based on what the Fed says. And Wall Street was saying, you're not going to keep raising the rates, Fed. We don't believe you, and just kept sitting on the couch. And now the Fed keeps saying, yep, we're going to keep raising interest rates, and it's starting to happen. So in the last, I mean, we had this great interest rate kind of shift in December and January, and now we're realizing that the rates are going back up again. So we're probably going to see them continue to rise a little bit. What that's going to do, I don't know, because people like me are pushing out so much information on it's never a bad time to buy, as long as you have your ducks in a row, as long as you can afford it. I mean, the thing that's going to be limiting a buyer is going to be the affordability. But if you have personal reasons where you need to get into a home or you need to buy, why throw money down the toilet and rent? It just doesn't make sense. Your home is still the real estate's the best value and the best investment you can make. I mean, I am personally saving money and waiting to purchase homes for short-term rentals, and I'm going to do it if the rates are 10%, because I know my short-term is going to make a lot more to balance that out. So I'm not afraid of it. I'm certainly not putting my money in anything else.
That's right. But I mean, again, you're super sophisticated. Not everyone even deals with that or looks at that or has the capacity to understand that. And despite my love for my realtor brothers and sisters, this is not their field. And they certainly at best could point someone in your direction. They can't offer this information. They don't have the data, the resources.
Or they have all the data, but it's twisted data coming from what they read in the news because it's all fear driven.
Yeah, good point. It's I've always wondered. I mean, this is getting a mile high view. The way this works is kind of backwards. You're looking at Zillow Saturday morning. You look at houses. At bet we're still fighting whether people should be pre-approved. Is that incredible? We're still saying you must be pre-approved. I mean, hello, of course. I mean, as you should be underwritten. Forget about pre-approved, right?
Yeah.
What you should need is a house. But we're still in the conversation. Will you take out buyers that are not pre-approved? Right? It's crazy. They're out there just really burning gas.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough market. It depends on the agent, the experience, and how bad, I hate to say how bad they need money, but you want to develop that customer relationship. Take them out once, develop the relationship, maybe even have lunch with them. But after that, you can't keep taking them out over and over again if they refuse to get pre-approved.
Oh yeah, that's to me, that's entirely unprofessional. That's ridiculous. I don't know. And if you want to go one step further, an open house is just such like an ancient thing where you don't know who's inside the house. You don't know if they have a job or if they're casing your joint and seeing where your TVs are and where your kids sleep. I don't have any grasp of that stuff.
It's funny you said that because my brain kind of goes that way sometimes. I was helping out a real estate agent and I walked into this open house. They still had their Christmas tree up and all these, the Christmas tree, what do you call it? The pine tree?
Pine needles?
Pine needles were all on the ground. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, have these people not been home for months? Because I knew they liked to travel and they wanted to get rid of the house. I knew their story. So when I saw that tree, I mean, if I was walking through the house and I had bad intentions, I would think these people are never home.
Right. It's 2 months after Christmas and people, might leave the tree up until mid-January a little bit. I'm guilty of that because the kids like it, but it's got to come down before the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, but there's so much of the old, kind of ignorance, the right word, sadly to say, unaware, ignorant things where, clients are saying open house. I think they just are so unaware of what is really good for them that they want to demand every bit of effort they can from the buyers. Agents yield what? I mean, open houses get like what, 1-2% of the buyers?
I don't know that statistic.
Oh, it's negligible. It's next to none.
Yeah.
It's next to none. And people have asked me, I say, politely no, or I'll send someone. I said, look, I don't want buyer clients. And that's who does open houses. They want the buyers to walk in. They're not shy about even saying it. So why do you want your house to sell someone else's house? If you have 100 people and one buys, it means 99 went the other way.
Yeah, that's true.
And they form an impression. Your house may have shag carpet and smell like, cats. There's just so much wrong. I'm hoping that this shakeup would really put lenders and agents together in a way of effectively getting it done and not be so disjointed.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I try to do at Grow. We like to do a lot of value adds to our agents. We have a great follow-up system that provides them just education pieces, whether it's a new agent or a seasoned agent. One of the opportunities we provide is an open house flyer that helps generate leads, and we enter people into a raffle to give away a TV. So that can help generate some traffic for them as well, and they'll get the lead generation that way to try to increase that 1 or 2% that you mentioned earlier.
Right. And, truthfully, I'm glad you said that. That's why I created PlugIntro. For myself, I needed it. I needed to meet more people. And I knew that if I offered others a chance to promote their business, they would really be connected to me because it's reciprocal and, we're legitimate. And you can form some deeper relations if you know that people know you're working for them. And I applaud someone like you that hosts or co-hosts these platforms because now you're being heard, but probably more important for your collective success is you're allowing agents to be heard. And if those agents have a chance to promote their business, which really they don't have many others, I don't believe people are leads. If the people in their community who own businesses or the moms at school have a way to gain knowledge and a chance to promote their business, people go to Angie's List, people go to networking events, people go to networking organizations. You're offering this. The thing I've enjoyed myself is that people have met. They never even met me, but I know that I've put my flag in the ground in New York, and other people have a chance to promote their business and gain.
Yeah.
If you're not doing something beneficial to others digitally, I think it's crazy. What are you doing? I mean, you can't knock on doors anymore.
Yes, that's true. It's definitely changing in that direction, as well as this AI stuff, which is super creepy. But it's
Super.
going to, yeah, it's going to explode on us here coming up, and yeah, it's all turning into a social kind of market. And I have a social media class that I'm hosting on Google Meet, March 21st from 12 to 1. So if anybody wants to be in on that and just kind of learn how to help them grow their business in 2023, I'm happy to do that.
Mm-hmm. I like that. I mean, I look at social media as a filter where you can collect enough people that might have an interest in what you're offering. But I really prefer the local business media because you don't need 4,000 people. You need a good 40 who are really engaged. If you have your agents that believe that you're the answer to their success, and putting those agents really closely with the people in the community, the business owners, I'm going to say this, and farm that agents talk about is local business owners. It's not empty nesters. It's not first-time buyers because those are transactional. The people who own the businesses, the law practice, they're there for generations. When I need to work on my home, the HVAC company, my grandfather used them. They're not flakes. They're sweeping the sidewalk. They're paying taxes. The kids went through the schools. They're real people, and they want to keep their reputation, and they want to be seen as a resource. So agents and lenders, far too little focus on those people that are responsible and responsive members of the community. And I've done it, and I want more success, but I've had success. Those are the people, and that's why I don't love a social media follower, because that they're one step above a stranger.
Yeah. Yep.
It's powerful. Okay, well, Zeke, you have this platform. I mean, I want more of your agent referral partners to know that you offer them this opportunity, and we're here to help others and gain some exposure for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Well, thank you for having me. I think it's a great platform, and I'm looking forward to adding some agents to this and getting some more interviews scheduled here to help promote their business and to help everybody grow.
This is your platform. So what's the best way to get in touch with you?
The best way to reach me, you can reach me on my cell phone, or you can reach me by email or website, any of the social media platforms. My first name and my last name, you could search me there. But also cell phone is 803-322-7649.